Hey guys, what is going on? This is CardinalBird5, and today I want to continue this series and talk about top 10 catchers. Now, again, this is just my opinion, so I might not always be right. You guys might not agree with me. That's fine. Feel free to put in the comments. If you have disagreements, just make sure you're respectful about it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so at number 10, I have Live Series Wilson Ramos. This was really a tough one between this and the Flashback Salty. The Flashback Salty, though, although he's a switch hitter, he's pretty much useless against lefties. I tend to favor catchers, or hitters in general, with a little bit more balance on both sides of the plate, and that's what Wilson Ramos gives you. He's got a little bit more contact on the right side, and he's got a decent, pretty good power on the left side. So, a nice player. Fielding is, it's so-so. I mean, the catcher position is probably lacking the most depth compared to every other position, maybe besides second base. So that's one reason a player like Wilson Ramos does make the list. At number 9, I have Live Series Buster Posey. Now, if you're going by overall rating, you may disagree, and you might be thinking, well, why isn't he higher? Why do you have? Well, you're going to see that I have lower rated players ahead of him, and I just don't like his hitting. I mean, his hitting is good. I just feel like, especially after the inside edge goes away after the season, and everything else, I don't know. If I'm gonna go with a card with this type of hitting, I would rather go pure defense. Not to say his defense is bad. I would go with a Flashback Molina, but nonetheless, this is still a pretty good card. And to hit with it, you probably have to power swing a little bit, but I do rank him number 9, my top. Coming in at number 8, I decided to go with the legend Carlton Fisk. Now, this is the 92 overall Red Sox one. And again, similar to Wilson Ramos, this card is just really balanced. He has good plate vision. And look at his blocking. His blocking is really, really good. Everything else is kind of so-so for fielding. But he's pretty much 70s across the board and everything. He also has pretty decent speed for a catcher. But this is a card you don't really have to platoon with. And if you hit well with righties, you'll definitely like this card. And I give this card a slight advantage over the Wilson Ramos just because of his blocking. Number 7 on our list, I'm going to go with Gary Carter. And you guys are probably looking at his attributes, and you're probably really thrown off by the contact and power versus righties. But I will say, I actually use this card on my squad right now, and I use him as a backup catcher. I also like to platoon him with Mauer. I still usually, start Mauer versus lefties, but this is a good card to have off the bench, or if you're just looking for a simple platoon. Besides maybe Johnny Bench and Molina, I think this is definitely one of your best overall platoon options at catcher. And this is why I gave him a slight advantage over catchers like Carlton Fisk and Posey. I feel like a lot of people will have a higher need to platoon this card rather than using the Live Series Posey against lefties and righties. So that's kind of why I put him ahead of those cards, and he comes in at number 7 for me. Overall, great defense and hits lefties, so definitely a great platoon card. Coming in at number 6, I have to go with Yogi. If you struggle hitting with Altuve, you probably won't like this card. But the fact he hits righties pretty well with 80 power, 99 vision, and really good fielding across the board, this catcher should definitely be up there. Some people might actually prefer him over some of the catchers I'm going to rank ahead of him. But this is definitely a good option, especially if you really like hitting, with lefties. So I rank Yogi Bear 6th. Coming in at number 5, I'm going to give this to Johnny Bench. Now again, this card is not for everybody. This is really ideally a platoon card, not a card you probably want to start against righties. But like I said, in DD, I think there's a higher value for these platoon catchers. Also, what stands out about Johnny Bench to me is the fact he can play first base and third base. So he offers a lot of flexibility off the bench, no pun intended. And he comes with great fielding, great arm strength, great blocking. So if you decide to put him at first or third, he's going to give you good defense. But overall, I just really like this card and the flexibility it offers. So I rank him at number 5. Next, coming at number 4, I'm actually going to have a tie, a two-way tie for 4th place, just because I find it really hard to separate these two, and I think they both, hit really well. So we're going to have Victor Martinez as, I guess, 4A, pretty much all hitting, but his ability as a switch hitter, it becomes really handy and useful, so you don't have to worry about platooning. However, he doesn't hit lefties as quite as well, but he does come with great vision, hits righties, really well. And he does have good blocking and decent, or I shouldn't say good, but decent blocking and decent arm strength. So I think defense, he can get the job done for you. And at 4B, again, I have a two-way tie, and these are probably some of the best hitting catchers and some of the probably cheaper catchers if you're looking to just look for purely hitting and power at that position. I have to give it to Mike Napoli. He hits lefties and righties equally well, on both sides. Honestly, I would still platoon this card even though he hits righties a little bit better. Just the fact, it's easier to hit left-handed pitching when you're batting on the right-hand side. Defense isn't great, similar to Victor Martinez, but he does have good blocking. Both of them have better blocking than Mauer, so if you're looking for a cheap platoon option and you don't want to spend the stubs on Mauer, you might want to look at Napoli and Victor Martinez. And number 3 on our list, yes, this might be a little biased, but I have to give it to Yadier Molina. Like I said, I think this card, hitting-wise, is very similar to Buster Posey. However, his defense is all maxed out, so if you're looking for purely defense with some pretty good hitting, you got to go with Yadi. He has it all. He has the blocking, the reaction, arm strength, fielding. Arm accuracy is not the best, but if you use throwing meter, it's not that big of a deal. He also has really good plate vision, so you'll have a decent size PCI. The only thing lacking is really his power, which if you power swing, and he's going to have a big enough PCI to allow you to power swing, it's not that big of a deal, especially if you're looking for just purely defense. Also, the one really big downside to this card, however, I think is the speed. So make sure you're careful when hitting with him. Do a lot of hit and runs because he's pretty much an automatic double play. But I have to rank him number 3rd just because of how tremendous his defense is and how good his hitting is. So yeah, that's the one big difference between this card and the Buster Posey, is in fact that Molina's defense is nearly maxed out in every category. Number 2 on my list, personally, I was a huge fan of this Brian McCann card. He has pretty good fielding, nothing spectacular, 70 blocking, and it's really hard to rank some of these catchers because a lot of them either pretty much are just hitting only or pure defense. I wouldn't consider a card like Flashback Molina pure defense, but I think you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. You pretty much have to sacrifice power for defense in a lot of these instances when we're comparing these catchers. So, Brian McCann number 2 for me. He's kind of a weird card. He has inverse splits, 88 contact, 66 power versus righties. However, he has 90 plate vision, so if you power swing, I feel like 60 plus is kind of the threshold to have pretty good power and be able to consistently hit home runs, especially if you're pulling pitches and hitting for power. Now, and the cool thing about this card is you really don't have to platoon with it because he hits lefties even better. So you just have to work on hitting lefty on lefty. Overall, I really enjoyed the card when I used it. It has good arm strength, and the blocking is again better than Joe Mauer's. It's nothing great, but it gets the job done. And I felt like he was decent enough behind the plate to get the job done, and I really liked it, so I rank him number 2. And number 1, is this even a question? It has to be Joe Mauer. The only downside of this card is the blocking, but since I've gotten this card, I really think this is probably a top 3 card in the game. The hitting is just ridiculous. 99-96 versus righties. That is just insane, plus 95 vision. Again, his fielding is really solid across the board. I would compare him to somebody like Posey, except Posey has a little bit better blocking as far as defense goes, but nothing stands out as far as the other catchers. When we talk about the other catchers, like this Joe Mauer card does, he is pretty much has everything. He doesn't have the power versus lefties, but that's okay. If you want to platoon with this card, you can. It's not really necessary. But and he also has a really quick swing. I really like his swing in the game. But I think pretty much all of you guys expected Joe Mauer to be number 1. And it's not even close. Joe Mauer is by far the best catcher in the game. The McCann, the Molina, the Napoli, the Martinez, the bench, those cards aren't even close, and they don't even compare to this card. That's just how good it is. Anyways, guys, let me know if you disagree or agree. I know I left out some catchers. There's the Luke Corey. There's Flashback. This Flashback Salty. The Flashback. What was the other one? The Flashback Grandal. I know a lot of people like those cards. So let me know if you guys think I missed any, or if you guys disagree with my list, or if you guys agree with it. Thanks for watching the video. This is Carlton Fisk signing out. Peace.